You are listening to Lovely Talks Heavy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lovely Talks Heavy. I am your host, Lovely, and I discuss everything I enjoy with regard to heavy music. No. You're not living your own personal Groundhog's Day starring Bill Murray, if that's what it seems like. I really am doing 2 of these band binge episodes in a row. It might seem lazy, but consider it's never a bad thing to expand your musical horizons. Plus, also, as soon as I got through the whole batch from last week's episode, a whole new flood of bands fell into my lap, and it keeps happening, guys! I'm never gonna get to equilibrium with this pursuit. I think I've accepted that now, but let's look at the bright side of this. One of my new favorite bands is somewhere out there, and yours is too, and together in these band exploration episodes, we'll be looking at these bands, and if there's something I'm not so fond of in a band's music, you might find you're drawn to it. So hey, somebody wins all of the time. So, for those of you that are just tuning into this podcast for the first time, maybe somebody brought you on, told you to check this show out. First off, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to follow me on Mixcloud. Secondly, what I like to do here on this podcast about once a month is dig into this giant fucking mountain of bands that I need to check out, either through recommendations or because I've seen the name on Twitter and thought, I should give them a listen. To save my sanity a bit in these explorations, I picked just one album or EP to listen to and share my thoughts on, while keeping in mind a few things. Number 1, this one album probably won't be representative of the band's sound as a whole. Perhaps they are more experimental, perhaps their sound has evolved over their years. 2, this one album might not even be good. Imagine listening to your favorite band for the first time and you start on the one album that even the most dedicated fans hate. And 3, the person or persons behind the music might just be goddamn awful. I keep all of these in mind and do the most basic of research on them, so basically like Wikipedia or the About page on their band's website, and I randomly pick one album on Spotify or Bandcamp and give my thoughts on the album that I choose, then decide if I personally want to listen to more of this music. If I don't like or really care for it, I'll still find something that I think is good about the music, because this podcast is about everything I enjoy with regard to heavy music. Every now and again, yes, I do dunk on someone or something, but I like to try to maintain a positive focus, okay? So, with all that in mind, let's go and check out a handful of bands this week. This episode is coming out in the first weekend of September, so let's look at a band called September Mourning. That wasn't really planned, actually. That was happy coincidence, but I'm gonna pretend that and I'm just gonna cut this part out. I didn't realize before I began listening to their album Volume 2 that this is not only a band, but what is essentially a whole project telling a story through music and comic books, following the story of a human/Grim Reaper hybrid named September. This project is a collaboration between Emily Laser, I think I pronounced that right, and comic book artist Mark Silvestri. As a band, I have some, mixed feelings about it. I'm 100% for having a whole concept and story be the center of what a band wants to present. Brendan Small's work comes to mind with Deathclock and Galacticon, both of which I love dearly, but, the execution in September Mourning, it feels like most of the effort was put into the visual presentation for the stage and comic, which, with something like this, a concept being made so tangible, you definitely want heavy effort and energy put into that visual part of it. But I would also expect more than just generic alternative/hard rock for the musical aspect of it. I would expect a bit more art out of it. So, just at this first glance, it feels like Emily Laser just wants to dress as a character, because there's not a lot else that is doing it for me. I will say that I enjoyed the songs Before the Fall and Children of Fate, and the chorus in Superhuman was pretty catchy, and through the album, the symphonic keyboard moments were something I really enjoyed, but the cover of Stand By Me by Benny King was a risk that didn't pay off. I am willing to explore more of this through the comics and see what the music videos have to offer, because the music alone isn't quite doing it for me, but honestly, I don't have much hope for this one, lads. I know I saw the name Twin Temple on Twitter. I forget who tweeted about them, though. Probably Revolver Magazine. That feels right for some reason. I should probably start writing these down somewhere. Regardless, though, I just clicked play before typing Twin Temple into Google for researching them. And so I did not expect what met my ears, which is, let me look at my notes. Self-described as satanic doo-wop. On their only album, Twin Temple bring you their signature sound. Satanic doo-wop. It's mono-channel doo-wop big band 50s diner music decorated with pentagrams, which some might find gimmicky at this point, but I really like this. Also, have you met me? Satanism isn't the only idea being brought into the sound predating heavy metal, though it is sort of the centerpiece and jumping off point for these other ideas. We've also got witchcraft, we've got sex, and we've got feminism, which all encompass the vocalist Alexander James's belief that women have a right to choose to do whatever the hell they want to do, which is, basic core of feminism. Woohoo. I'm gonna read you a bit from the About page from Twin Temple's website, and this was originally written by Gabriella Herstick for Nylon Magazine, because I just really love how it's written, and I don't want to challenge how artfully this is written, so Alexandra and Zachary James are the high priests of Twin Temple, the satanic doo-wop band hailing from the City of Angels. Although you may expect to hear heavy guitar riffs and a thumping bass to accompany cries of Hail Satan, you'll instead hear old-school, classic riffs and Alexandra's crooning voice that sounds straight out of the 60s. While many confine Satan to the likes of black metal, the duo is breaking the notion that Satan has a type. After all, who says Satan wouldn't get down to some classic Americana? Inspired by the golden era of rock and roll, Twin Temple rejects conformity of any kind, whether it's through their magic, performance, or sound. And while a lot of satanic metal bands begin and end their worship of Satan on stage, the same can't be said for Twin Temple. Both their music and their practice of Satanism on and off the stage are rooted in the ideals of free will and giving space to those who are not often allowed any. So no, Twin Temple doesn't drink the blood of virgins or kill babies to sacrifice on the full moon. They are challenging notions about what it means to free the oppressed, fight back against dated and binary ways of thinking, and doing it all while hailing the Dark Lord himself. If there's anything to expect from Twin Temple, it is the unexpected. I just really love how that's written. Some personal favorites by Twin Temple are The Devil Didn't Make Me Do It, I Know How to Hex You, and Santa Muerte. For once in my life, I decided to listen to a band that followed me on Instagram because I used the hashtag metalhead tag on my selfies, lovely metalhead, if you're interested in following me too. Mechanical God Creation are a death metal band from Italy, and I listened to their album Artifact of Annihilation, which came out in 2012. If that band name sounds familiar, it's probably because you're a fan of Arch Enemy, who have a song called Mechanic God Creation. Could they be fans of Arch Enemy? Possibly. Could they have just been inspired by the name of that song? Also possibly. Who's to say? Let's move on. So, this is death metal that is unrelenting with some really good melodies, some really good shredding, chugging, and excellent vocal delivery. Some favorites off this album are the title track Artifact of Annihilation, Shadows Falling, the wholly instrumental Lullaby for the Modern Age, Woe of the Spiral Desire, Ocean of Time, and Obsidian Nightfall. That's like, most of this album, actually. Shit. If you're looking to expand your death metal repertoire, definitely give Mechanical God Creation a go. Do you like atmospheric tech death? Then you might just dig Blood Incantation. A lot of people seem to be really into them. I gave their EP Interdimensional Extinction a go, and first off, the cover art thou. Like the rings of Saturn, but made of skulls and bones. Admittedly, at this point in my band exploration, I think I, ran out of juice. I was just in a state where I would rather just listen to my comfort zone of musical taste, which basically, if you're new in here, means that just listening to Powerwolf only. But like I've mentioned, these episodes are an exercise in combating hyperfixation, so I'm still going to give you my thoughts on these remaining bands that I listened to for this episode, but just know that my thoughts may be revised in the near future because I just need to give some of them another fair shot. I just need to recover some juice or something. I've just been super exhausted and busy lately. Anyways, I really do need to give more chance to Blood Incantation because all I've written in my notes about them is that I really like the guitar solos in the fifth tablet of Enuma Ellis, and that I just really like the songs Hovering Lifeless and Subterranean Aeon. Again, disclaimer, this is one where I decided to just push forward even though I logically should have, rested, but hey, we need a complete episode here. I saw the name The Antichrist around because I follow Napalm Records on Twitter and stuff, and they came out with a new album this year, but I traveled back in time to 2008 on this one. I listened to the album Human Pandemonium. I seem to fade in and out a lot with this album. As a whole, I don't hate it, but it seemed to be choppy with regards to holding my attention. Again, I'm gonna give this another shot because it might be me on this one, not the album itself. But, the one song that stuck with me for the entirety of it, save for the intro and outro tracks, was Like a Human, with violins and guitars scaling up and down in the intro, and then it's mostly instrumental, save for anguished screams of men paired with wolves howling. I think it's wolves howling anyways. I really do like the intro and outro tracks, the intro being Tragic Intro Vox Toccata Reformed in Existentialist Anguish, the outro being Augurio's Heretic Poem. My complaint with those, though, is that they don't seem to fit with the whole of the album for me. Maybe because when I hear what is essentially a guitar version of, the soundtrack to every single vampire making appearance in pop culture, I expect something a bit more campy. And maybe it is campy and I just don't understand the lyrics throughout the album. Again, I'm gonna have to give Thy Antichrist another shot, but go ahead and check them out for yourselves and tell me what you think. Next, all the way from Sweden, it's a Bloodbath. I saw this name on Twitter. Don't ask me from who. At this point, I was just so exhausted. I need to power through. If you're a fan of Opeth, or Catatonia, or Paradise Lost, or some other bands out there, then you for sure have heard of Bloodbath and might be a fan already. Because this is a supergroup of people who have been in those bands, which also, let me say, Bloodbath certainly has had a bit of a turbulent past in terms of lineup changes, but from the looks of it, it just seems like there's no bad blood, or rather, bad Bloodbath. It just seems that since Bloodbath started as, a side project, it was just a question of, for a lot of people who've been in this band, if it wasn't too serious, then, do I want to spend a lot of energy on this? My priorities lie in the band that I was in first, so, do I even want to be here? So yeah. I listened to the album The Fathomless Mastery, which came out in 2008, which from the looks of it was during Mikhail Aukerfeld's second run as the vocalist. This is a fucking good record. Just solid death metal for 40 minutes straight. It could just be one humongously long song since it sounds pretty much the same throughout, but it's just so good. I am hard pressed to pick a favorite song off this album, though I will say that some moments I enjoyed were in the second half of Earthrot, that guitar solo that is so beautiful amidst the muck. I like the muck, don't worry. Plus the song Hades Rising, which just has a lot of cool different riffs and near melodic moments, which only last a second or two before moving on to something else, and then it just fades out with the most consistent melody that this record has. I also have to say, I really just like the song title, Drink from the Cup of Heresy. It just sounds so stupid and edgy, but I love it. Time for some thrashy death, all the way from Brazil. We're looking at Sinaya's latest release, Maze of Madness, which came out the 10th of August. I was watching a Banger TV album review, and this was recommended at the end of that, which if you want to find some more band recs, that is one place I have been getting them from. That's where I found Unflesh, and that is where I found Sinaya. This is another one that I found myself really digging. There's a lot more persistent melody on this one than on Bloodbath, and there's a definitive sound that really says, "We are Sinaya." I found myself really liking the songs Life Against Fate, Bath of Memories, and Infernal Sight. Definitely gonna give Sinaya more of a listen and check out their other album. This one was a Bandcamp recommendation. If you like I Forget Band what I was listening to on Bandcamp when I saw this, then you might like Voice of an Idiot Ghost by U.S. Grave. Admittedly, that EP title is what got me interested. It's apparently inspired by a line in the Stephen King short story Dolan's Cadillac, but without that context, it's just stupidly funny to me. So, U.S. Grave is the side project from the members of black and roll band Take Over and Destroy, where they combine power pop and death rock into one dark and dreamy sound. Listening to this was a really nice break from all of the death metal. I love death metal, of course, don't get me wrong. I just needed a palate cleanser. So right now, all U.S. Grave have out right now is this 4-song, 11-minute EP, Voice of an Idiot Ghost. But if you like goth essentials like The Cure, like Sisters of Mercy, like Susie and the Banshees, then you'll certainly love this. Finally, from Salt Lake City, Utah, we have Visigoth. I'm not talking about a western branch of goth music. Oh, that's a terrible joke for those that know your Roman history. I don't. But Visigoth is power metal. Sarah Kitteringhamn over at Banger TV talked about their latest album in a review, and I just knew that I would love them from the little video clip that they played. I didn't listen to the newest album though, I listened to the one before that called The Revenant King, which came out in 2015. This album, from toe to tip, is epic. With soaring vocals singing about sacrifice and conquering, and instrumentals that shred and march. It's just so powerful. The songs can be a bit long, the longest one clocking at 9 minutes 45, but they just feel just right. I'm personally partial to the songs Dungeon Master because I like to play Dungeons and Dragons because I'm a fucking nerd. Mammoth Ride because of that consistent marching that transitions to more speedy rock and roll to something more slow and Sabbathy. And back on over to that marching. And Necropolis, all about the land of the dead. Before we close out the episode this week, we have some listener feedback. If you would like to send in feedback for me to read on the show, just send it on over to lthfeedback@protonmail.com. This email comes from listener Devin, who, if you recall, recommended me the band Dulskin, who I discussed on last week's episode. He writes, "Hey lovely, thanks for giving me a shout out and talking about Dulskin on this week's episode. I hope you and other listeners find them as enjoyable and awesome as I do. I'm planning on checking out some of the bands you mentioned this week. Keep up the awesomeness and hope you're doing well. Rock on." Thank you very much for your email, Devin. I do find Dulskin very enjoyable. I hope you enjoy the other bands that I've discussed in these band exploration episodes, this one included. I hope that everybody who listens to the show finds at least one thing that they really dig in these band explorations, which, if you did find something that you really enjoy in this episode, everyone, let me know. At that feedback email, which is once again lthfeedback@protonmail.com. You can send me feedback or just say hey and follow me on social media as well. On Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, and Mixcloud. Do not forget about Mixcloud, okay? I am Lovely Metalhead. While you're at it, share the show with a friend, tell them to say hey, and follow me. At this moment, the most impactful way to get this show out to other people is if you guys share it with others who might enjoy it as well. Do not forget that I have a Ko-fi page as well. If you particularly love what I do on the show and want to extend even more support, drop a few dollars in there at ko-fi.com/lovelymetalhead. If you can't donate, that's completely understandable. Just sharing the show is support that is beyond appreciated. Alright, guys. Until next week, next Saturday, the next episode of Lovely Talks Heavy here on mechanicalgodcreation.it. You stay brutal, my friends. Goodbye.